Hello. It took me a little bit longer to get on here because, of course, my system had updated. Anyway, welcome to Coffee with Dari Live, which will turn into the Coffee with Dari podcast in a little bit. Welcome to today's show. We're going to jump right in. Today, we're talking about the biggest mistake that I see thought leaders, associations, organizations, brands make when it comes to brand strategy. And that mistake is to focus on the wrong things, right? So when you think about brand strategy, the first thing that might come to mind, which has happened in many conversations I've had with people, is branding. And branding is obviously a big part of brand strategy, but it's not all of it. Branding is more figuring out your colors and your even I would put brand voice under there, but it's more of your visual identity, which is very, very, very important. But what I feel is more important, or two of the most important things, and I had to write notes because this is a topic we can go on many tangents with, but two of the most important things when it comes to creating a solid brand strategy is to have your brand story, to be very, very clear on your brand story and your value proposition worked out. The other side of that is obviously to know your audience inside and out, like the back of your hand, like you know your best friend. And so the mistake that I see a lot of people make again is focus on the wrong thing. For a long time, and my background is more in social media marketing, but I've made the transition over to brand strategy as I found myself kind of working on brand strategy, even when I was working on social media strategy with clients, because that part was usually not as together. And the companies that I work with and the thought leaders that I work with that saw the most amount of success were people that had their brand strategies together. But anyway, see this is what I'm talking about tangents. For a long time, I've been mentioning to you that there is a shift coming in social media marketing, and I think it's happening in marketing in general. We are bombarded with messages more than we've ever been bombarded with messages. I mean, if you hop in a taxi, there's, you know, ads running, your phone, obviously. Every time you hop on social media, there's messaging coming your way, whether that's just from friends, or brands you follow, ads sneaking into your feed, things like that. And of course, television, movies, anytime that you are consuming media, you are getting the message thrown at you. Even, walking down the street, a store display, that's another type of messaging advertising coming at you. So we're bombarded with messaging all the time, content all the time. And so the shift I see coming is, and I've been talking about this for years, is that your social media channels will become more of a place where people get to know you, almost like your website. And we're seeing this happen. People really are interested in who is behind the brand. What are the values? What do they stand for? And this wasn't the case even 15 years ago when I started. Not that people didn't care, but now more than ever, people really want to jump in behind the scenes. So that's why this shift for me seems very timely. Um, it's really important to figure out what your brand story is, what your unique value proposition is, where your mission stands. And the reason for that is if you have a generic or vague purpose, that doesn't help you stand stand out from the other brands that are in your niche. If you are generic, and trust me, this is not an easy thing to do. It's a process that might take, especially if you're working on a personal brand, it might take you a while to really nail down, but it's important to sit with this and work it out. As my company has made the transition from strictly social media strategy into brand strategy, it's something that we worked with a wonderful friend and business coach on, just getting that outside perspective, but it's really, really important. So take the time so that you know what your story is, what your purpose is, and not a self serving purpose, because of course we all want to make money, right? That's why you started a business. You're not here to just have this as a hobby. Maybe you are, I don't know. But for a lot of you, you are trying to make money, whether that's through, or if I'm speaking to thought leaders or people in the C suite, you are using a personal brand to bolster what you do, to either gain a position in a company that you'd like to go to, or if you are a thought leader, influencer, you're working on building that up so that maybe you have something to sell later on, or maybe you want to book gigs. Either way, there's always an end goal for you, which is money or opportunities. That shouldn't be the only purpose, because your customer needs to come first. You have to be able to express to them why you started this, why you wanted to do this, why you feel strongly about the position that you've taken up as a thought leader, why you created a product, why you created that specific service. Uh, what is in it besides making money? That will help you dive deeper. Also, getting your brand story and your value propositions in line will help you again stay consistent in messaging, which we know is really important. It brings clarity, and if you've been in my world a while, you know clarity is number one for me, because I'm the type of person that gets excited by new ideas and things I'm constantly learning. And a lot of people that I work with are the same way, and we're all multifaceted beings. And when it comes to marketing your business, sometimes we need to put blinders on, right? Like we see things are trending, or, this cool thing is happening. How can I do it? And if you have your brand mission and your brand story, your unique selling proposition or value proposition worked out, then that gives you a litmus test, I want to say. It gives you a lens to put it through to make sure that the efforts and the marketing that you're putting out actually make sense for you, or that you can translate the trend or that cultural moment into something that actually makes sense for your brand, and it's not going to feel like you're trying too hard or just doing it to do it because you want visibility. So those are the main points of what brands are overlooking. And I think one question that you can ask yourself is, what unique problem do you solve, and why are you the best choice to solve it? What unique problem do you solve, and why are you the best choice to solve it? That will start giving you clarity on your mission, your origin story, or your brand story, and your personality. And your personality is your personality. But sometimes when we're working with brands, we have to like think a little bit more about that. But those are the main things that I would work on when it comes to brand strategy, and the main mistake I see. And I don't think it's done purposely. I just think it can be really hard to narrow things down. You started your business or your thought leadership to help people. I mean, besides making money, right? We want to help people. We want to bring a message to people. We want to get that message out there. And I think it can feel like you are limiting yourself when you start to really get focused and narrow. You might start to feel like, oh, but I'm leaving this person out. I'm leaving that person out. When it might feel a little counterintuitive, but it's actually better for you to really get specific about who you are and who you help. If you nail those two things, everything else starts to fall in place so much easier. And the clarity that comes from that, the it just starts to open up a whole new world for you. And you don't necessarily alienate other people, but you do become specialized in a certain niche. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many specialized niches out there. And it's something, again, I struggled with myself, especially coming from the agency world. I'm used to working with companies in so many different backgrounds. I mean, I've worked with wine companies, real estate, financial publications, associations. I've worked with so many different people, so many different companies, so many different niches. So I know that my strategies work and I can kind of adjust them to whatever industry I'm in. But how muddy is that when it comes to messaging, right? Like, I can help anyone. Like, okay, that doesn't help you emotionally connect with the people that you're trying to reach. It doesn't help you really hone in on how to deliver your message in a way that's going to land with that ideal client and then move them into action. It doesn't help you figure out how to talk to them to let them know, I know what your problem is. I know that in your industry you deal with XYZ. I've done this before. This is how I can help you. So that's why it's so important. Yes, of course, you want to get your visuals right because you want to make that visual consistency. You want people to know that it's you. You want people to, um, I was going to say jive. I'm going to say it. You want people to jive with how your tone, your brand tone, or your how you express yourself. But none of that will matter if you yourself aren't clear on who you are and why people should come to you and why you're the expert. And again, that could be many different things. That mission or your purpose, that could be the thing that sets you apart. It could also be your experience. It could also be just your personality, but you're not going to figure that out until you sit and you work on it. You sit and you work on it, and it's not always an easy process. But if you do have trouble with it, please reach out to me. That's what I'm here for, to help you figure all those parts out. Um, okay, I have a question coming in. And thank you, Benedict. Um, Hi, Wim. How are you? The question is, I understand your clarity point, but what about if you have boomer clients and you want to focus on Gen Z? How not to alienate existing clients by focus on others? That is a very, very good question. So I think when it comes to that, you have to make a choice. I don't think your clients will necessarily leave you. If you already have clients, you can hold on to them while also going in a new direction and focusing on Gen Z as opposed to an older generation. The other thing I can say is that you can take your marketing in, actually, I don't, when you have if you can tell me what your company is, I can help you out a little bit more. Um, I believe it's oil, right? If I'm remembering correctly. If not, let me know. But you have to make that choice whether you want to stick to the clientele you have or if you are trying to go after a new sector, a new generation. And then once you make that choice, then that's when you figure out how your messaging needs to change. I don't think your current clients will leave you because they already know you. They've used your product. Okay, culinary argan oil. So for eating, right? Um, so I don't think your current clients will leave you just because you're going after someone who is like what I was talking about. I mostly market to women entrepreneurs or women thought leaders, women in the C-suite. But that doesn't mean that I don't work with men or that men also don't, that I alienate them out. I have worked with men before also. So it doesn't necessarily alienate them, but it's not who I'm focused on. So I would say make the choice. Do you want to stick with your older generation clients or do you want to focus on the younger generation? Make that choice. I don't think your clients that you have will leave you. Again, they know your product. If they're already your clients, you're good there. But it's, do you stick with that or do you go with someone new and then shift your messaging in that direction? And all your efforts will probably shift in the new direction. And that's just, again, making hard choices. It's part of entrepreneurship, part of thought leadership, and part of the process of getting your product out there or your thought leadership, your message to everyone. If there are any more questions, I will take them. But if not, I will leave you with this. Again, the question that will probably help you start to clear things up for yourself is, what unique problem do you solve, and why are you the best choice to solve it? And you have to keep your audience in mind when you answer this question. It's, why are you the best choice to solve it for the specific audience that you want to reach? Why would they go to you over someone else who's cheaper? What are you bringing to the table? Okay, because that's also what brand strategy does. See, another tangent. But anyway, that's what brand strategy does. It eliminates that price. Um, how do I say this correctly? That price competition. I mean, if you're just like, I sell sandwiches, cool. But what is different about your sandwiches and the guy? Are they subs? Are they, you know, I don't know, gluten free? I have celiac disease, so that makes sense to me. Gluten free. Are they, so you just, why are you the best person to solve the problem for that specific audience? All right. And so I think that's it. I don't see any more questions coming in. But if you do have a question, I am at Dari Low on Instagram, at DHARILO. Please feel free to reach out to me, Dariana Lozano, on LinkedIn. This replay will be available also, so you can leave a comment below and I will make sure to answer any questions you might have. But that's it for now. Good luck with everyone on your brand strategies. Remember, brand strategy is more than just branding. It's an element within brand strategy. Branding is an element for sure, an important one, but focus on your story, your value proposition, and getting to know your audience. And you will avoid two of the biggest mistakes that I see happening when it comes to brand strategy for thought leaders, organizations, brands out there. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.